Hi, good evening. My name is Spencer Moore, and this is the video debate post for POS 364. So I'm in uniform. I'm going to give the disclaimer that everything I say is my own opinion and is not and should not be taken as official policy or as an official statement from the United States Army, the Department of Defense, or the United States government. All that being said, this post is on the topic of whether or not the United States should allow Ukraine to engage targets within Russian territory with weapon systems that we, the United States, have provided to Ukraine. And my position, my argument, is absolutely we should allow Ukraine to do so. I believe this from both a utilitarian perspective and a moral perspective. From the utilitarian perspective, if we were to allow Ukraine to employ the weapon systems that we have provided them to the limit of their capabilities, that would demonstrate their effectiveness to Russia and to the world as a whole. This has already happened to a large extent within the conflict itself. However, if we were to allow, for example, Ukraine to use HIMARS rocket systems to the limit of their engagement range, and they strike several hundred kilometers deep into Russian territory from within Ukrainian territory, that demonstrates a capability and is a show of force that could act as a deterrent against further Russian aggression elsewhere in Europe, say the Baltics or Poland or Moldova or anywhere else in Europe. It also demonstrates to other potential adversaries, such as China or Iran, the capabilities of American weapon systems. From a moral perspective, Ukraine is fighting an existential war. Russian leaders, to include Vladimir Putin himself, but also including other political leaders like Dmitry Medvedev and ideological leaders such as Alexander Dugin, have stated very clearly that in their opinion, Ukraine is only a part of Russia. That any distinction between Russia and Ukraine is artificially created and should not be respected. They view the Ukrainian country, the Ukrainian nation, the Ukrainian language, the Ukrainian people, etc., as a regional offshoot of Russia. And with that in mind, I believe that it is the only moral decision for the United States to allow Ukraine to use every tool in its arsenal to the best of its capabilities in order to defend itself. One of the most common counter arguments to my position is that Vladimir Putin has stated that allowing Ukraine to use American weapons against targets in Russian territory is a red line that he will not accept, and that he would then view the United States as an active combatant in the war. This is not a compelling counter-argument to me. For one thing, we have already, as the United States, crossed several of Vladimir Putin's red lines in regards to supporting the Ukrainian people. From supporting the Ukrainian people, period, from inviting them to join NATO and continuing their NATO and EU accessions processes, from providing Ukraine with weapon systems such as the Bradley fighting vehicle, the Abrams main battle tank, the HIMARS rocket system that I mentioned earlier, the F-16 fighter jet. we have repeatedly crossed Vladimir Putin's red lines, and we are not embroiled in a war with Ukraine, or with Russia, excuse me. For another reason, if I can be petty, Vladimir Putin has no respect for the United States red lines. And he has never respected them. And so I find it uncompelling to say that we have to respect his. So those are the two reasons, the moral and the utilitarian arguments that I have for supporting Ukraine and for allowing Ukraine to use American weapons to strike targets within Russian territory, and a quick response to one of the most common counter arguments. Again, my name is Spencer Moore, and this has been for POS 364. Thank you, and have a good night.